larger than the 1,000. The architect, again, has done a very good job. I wouldn't recognize an architect's name to be critical about it, but when it says, comma, AIA, Architectural Institute of America, when it says something like MIT after their name, things like that, that's the credibility I look for, because I'm not in the architectural scene. But I think if you come tomorrow night, I think you'll see plans that are, as I said, sympathetic with the architecture of the batch, sympathetic with the common, and I think anybody with an open mind will like what they see, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. The reason it's tomorrow night is because since town meeting, the time frame that the CCP has had, quite frankly, this is the earliest. I know the final drawings came in last week, and I, as a member of the CCP, was privy to see them. They scheduled a meeting as soon as they could, which happens tomorrow night. It will be televised, so I would advise people to come if they can, view the presentation, and see for themselves. Again, this is not an alternative for the May 8th election. This is going beyond the May 8th election. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I just want to, I guess, rebut some of the things you said, Joe.
Sure.
And I can understand your feelings on a lot of these issues, but as Jim just pointed out, the architect that CCP had originally brought in to look at the bachelor school was told not to attend any more client meetings after the first meeting. And after the $20,000 was awarded to the school building committee, that's when he was told to leave the picture and not attend any more client meetings. So the architect that CCP originally had brought on board was disallowed to work with TLC, Todd Lee. So then what happened after he was discharged from any further employment with the architectural firm of TLC, CCP, and then Todd Lee ultimately designed the picture that was drawn on the 9 by 11 or whatever, 7 by 11 sheet, and was presented. It was not favorable to CCP. It was not favorable to this board. It was not favorable to the school building committee or the school building committee or the school committee. It wasn't favorable to anybody. Not only that, but the cost that they associated with that plan was astronomical. So the thing wasn't accepted by anybody. So what CCP did, and for people to be critical of what they're trying to do, and I applaud them for working as hard as they have worked on this project, because they're trying to solve the solution. The solution is being tried to be solved by these people. They're not trying to create a problem. They're trying to solve a solution. It's a solution that benefits everybody at an affordable cost to the community. They're not trying to do anything underhanded. They've been working on this thing since last year. And when Ralph Hannon got up at the town meeting, he was bombarded by people saying, "Sit down, you're a bum." They called him everything in the world. Now you're saying to him, "Come forward and tell us everything you know." Why should he? His credibility has been criticized so many times, Joe, since the October town meeting when he tried to get up and speak. The guy is gun shy, and the architects that they're working with, they don't want to be involved either because they're gun shy because of what has happened to relations in the architectural world. So that's the problem with that. But the main theme here is if these people can come forward with an affordable plan that's acceptable to the community and acceptable to everybody. I mean, you and I all know that the Swan Pond School has been defeated 3 times. They're trying to work out something that's acceptable by the school committee. They're not trying to fight the school committee. They want to work with them. They can't wait to work with them and sit down and show what they have to the school committee, and hopefully it will be accepted by the school committee, the school building committee, the parents, the kids, us, the boards, the finance committee, and everybody else at an affordable price for this community. And that's the reason they're doing all this work. They're not doing all this work just to have something to do. They've worked very, very, very hard, Joe, and they've been working a long, long time on it and trying to put an acceptable plan for it. I mean, I applaud them for what they've done. I just think they've done an outstanding job, and I've attended a lot of their meetings. Jim has attended a lot of their meetings, watching the plan come forward, and it's it's too bad that they're being criticized for trying to help the community, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it, George.
If I could just respond to a couple of comments, Mr. Chair, please.
Mr. Vio.
There's a number of things that actually upset me, Bill. And one of them is the architect's name not coming out, because from what I read in the newspaper, it's never coming out. I just don't see how that can be. I just don't see how it can be done that way. For whatever reason, if they're afraid of being criticized or ridiculed or whatever, but I just can't put any faith in that idea, in that cost that this person is giving, without knowing who the person is. Yeah, evidently you and Mr. Bagan know, you've seen the name and the credentials, et cetera, and you and I reiterate, and you and Mr. Bagan had the privilege of seeing the plan. You know, as you just said, they can't wait to sit down and meet. Well, why didn't they? I mean, when did they actually get this? Friday? I mean, I don't know.
I think they-
No, well, I don't know, and I'm
They
asking.
literally got it Thursday.
Well, that's convenient for them. I mean, yeah, it's
That's
just.
how the plan went, Joe. You know, you ask someone to do something,
Right.
they tell you I can do it in a month. The month ends Thursday.
Right.
It's not the people who asked to have the job done fault.
But if I
That's a time
can
frame.
also state, and you can also say to this person, I don't want it until Thursday, but I'll end it on that.
You might say that, Joe,
Yeah,
but I
well,
wouldn't.
well, I do
Okay.
say
All right,
that.
that's fine.
I just want to say my position on this matter also. I contacted Mr. Hannon last Tuesday morning, probably about 10 o'clock. Mr. Hannon informed me that he had met with the architect, he had a copy of the plans.
Oh,
He
that's
had,
interesting.
he did not have final cost figures on the construction costs of it as of yet. He was putting together, they were working on those, and that they were looking to get together some pamphlets put together and glossies made up, and they wouldn't be ready for distribution until the meeting which he had scheduled for tomorrow evening. I informed him that, you know, as a member of the board, I would like to have some information to share with the board, also for my own information as to what they had. He did not wish to share any of the information with me. He said it wasn't, I said, draft form is fine, I don't need the glossy.
I like this stuff.
I don't need the glossy. This is a matter of fact. You can write what they want, but this is
No,
a matter of
listen,
fact.
Bob will write this.
Well, this is a matter of fact. He said that none of the information would be released until Tuesday to anybody. I guess it doesn't surprise me that two members of the board have seen it and had access to it, and that's fine. I asked Mr. Hannon if his organization was going to be having any meetings that week so that I could attend it. He informed me no, just the executive committee would be meeting to put the final cost and construction figures on the plan. And I asked him who was putting the cost and construction numbers in relation to the construction onto the plan. He informed me that it was entrusted to the executive committee of the CCP. I asked him who that was, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Schuler, Ms. Glue, and Mr. Schuler, and himself. And he again reiterated that he was not willing to share any of the information or copies of anything with me until Tuesday evening. Thank you very much for his time. And again, from my perspective, it's very disappointing. To say that people weren't looking with an open mind, I think that's also unfair. To say that Mr. Hannon, he got shut down and wasn't allowed to speak at town meeting. I was in favor of allowing him to speak, and I'm in favor of letting anybody speak at town meeting and speak their mind and they should be heard. I think that was a mistake. However, Mr. Hannon has also engaged in such activities, calling to the question, the emails and all this other stuff, and distracting people from the matters at hand and the important issues that have to be faced here. I have a problem with the credibility of the organization. Last fall, the same group came to town meeting and said that they were going to come up with a plan. They offered no plan. They said then that they were going to have a plan before the November election ballot question, and they still came up with no plan. They promised a savings of $20 million, and there was no plan to save the $20 million. We then tried, some of us attempted to have a special town meeting prior to the close of the calendar year, or in early January, in order to, for two reasons. One, to take a look at their plan, consider it, and also to secure 64% reimbursement for the Swan Pond School proposal if the general public so chose to go that route. The majority of this board, in their wisdom, decided to take away that insurance policy from the town and the voters of this town to secure the 64%, and should the town vote favorably on the Swan Pond School, that will have cost us at a minimum of $1.5 million to $2 million. We're talking about $149,000 in new growth of money that might not be coming in, and we're talking about, saving $50,000 on a position, yet with one vote, the majority of this board decided to take away the opportunity for the voters of this town to secure 64% as opposed to 58%, 59%. $1.5 million to $2 million. You left it on the table unnecessarily, in my opinion, which I expressed at the time. Again, we didn't go with the end of December, January special town meeting because this group needed some time to put together a plan. At your request, Mr. Smith, we went to the February special town meeting date because this group would have a plan for us. There was no plan. The town of North Reading stepped up to the plate, put the money on the table that they said they were going to do, looked at their proposal and their ideas, put forth consideration, put the architect that they chose on the architectural team. You say he was cast aside and wasn't allowed to participate. I'm sorry. If he's a reputable guy, and I have no reason to believe that he isn't, because he participated in the process, he took a fee for participating in that process, he signed a letter stating that he participated in the process, and, took the money and left.
I don't
And that
believe
was-
that's true.
He
No,
took
it's
the
not
fee.
even close.
He took the
He
fee.
Not
didn't
even
take
close,
any
Steve.
fee.
He didn't, that's not,
No,
that's
he got
not
no
true.
fee
for
That's
that.
true. He
For
took the
working
fee
with Swan Pond.
on the Bachelor School proposal that Todd Lee put together. He was on Todd Lee's payroll and he took the fee.
I'd like to see that.
He took the fee, and that's, I'm sure you can, I'd be happy to show that. Okay?
I'd like to see
He
it.
took the money from Todd Lee Associates as an associate to that plan, the Bachelor School renovation plan. He took the money and he signed off on what was done there. So that was the guy you people chose. They were going to come in with a plan at the February town meeting. The plan was put forth, looked at by the school building committee, school committee, ed specifications were met, and the cost didn't come out where CCP wanted it to be. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. But the thing is, the school building committee, school committee, the finance committee, this board previously all looked at those proposals previously and endorsed the Swan Pond School, and some of us on the board had switched our positions on that particular matter. We know. We've looked at it. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on plans, and you want to spend some more. Well, the time has come to move forward. We've looked at the Bachelor School renovation proposal. Can you do something with that site? You can do anything with any site you want if you want to spend the money. Go ahead. It isn't economically feasible. Educationally, the layout, again, the Todd Lee Associates put together, there was 4 or 5 different configurations. Can you make it work? Sure you can make it work. But what does it do to the downtown area? What does it do to that site? And again, I don't want to rehash all of that. So in February, they didn't like the plan, didn't like the cost. What did they promise at February town meeting? We're going to have another proposal for you. We're going to have our plan ready for April town meeting. And not one member of this board even put forth for consideration an article so that they could do it. You two people were heavily involved with this particular organization. You'd even have an article for consideration. Any member of this board could put it forward. They had no plan. They didn't put it. Now, 1 week before the election, they got a big plan, and they're going to present it. Am I looking at it with a jaundiced eye? Yes. Am I suspect as to the timing of it? Yes. Is it coincidental? Maybe. But I find that hard to believe, because every time we come close to putting it forward for consideration, we then get to the point where, well, we're going to save you some more money, we have a cheaper plan. We've got a better idea. A new widget.
Can somebody else have something to say?
Sure, everybody can take whatever time it wants, and any member can take as much time as they'd like to take on these things, because it's what people want to hear, I think. So, again, when I finish, I'll be
I
happy to
didn't
turn it
know
over.
you
Oh,
went
no,
first, sorry.
So am I skeptical? Sure. Do I think it's credible? No. I think it's incredible. And for members of the board, I made a copy of what the definition of incredible is. Beyond belief. Impossible or very difficult to believe. From the Latin incredibilis, literally, quote, not believable. I don't believe it's credible at this point. I don't believe it's credible. When the town of North Reading goes out to bid on any project or proposal, we have to hire our architect through a public bidding process, and they have to disclose their credentials and who they are. If they get awarded a plan, If they get awarded the